report from Shams Charania came out today basically saying that Giannis is contemplating leaving the Bucks for the first time, seriously at least. So I think it's time that we find out where he's going for real. Okay, so I got some trades lined up, and we're gonna see which of these would be the most appealing for the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, we're gonna start with the Eastern Conference here. This first one that I got right here. Okay, we got the Atlanta Hawks, and with the Atlanta Hawks, we got three nice young players here, and Jalen Johnson, Double O, and Zachary Richichet, who was the #1 pick in last year's draft, as well as a pick swap in 2030 and a first-round pick in 2031. So the problem here for me, even though they got three nice young players here, is that there's not quite enough draft capital for Giannis Antetokounmpo, in my opinion. So we're going to move right along here and look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. And some of these teams I'm going to have more than one trade for. For the Cavs here, they're obviously having a little bit of a disappointing second round, where they may lose to the Pacers right now. So we got Darius Garland and Jared Allen going to the Bucks, as well as a 2031 first-round pick. I put top 3 protected here. But as far as like the draft picks are concerned and whatnot, for some of these teams, it'll be more, it'll be less, there'll be protections. So that part is a little bit fluid. But some teams have more that they can offer than other teams do in general. For example, the Cavs have traded a lot of their picks in the Donovan Mitchell trade. So we'll have to see what these teams can fully offer. As far as this is concerned, from the Milwaukee Bucks perspective, you get two young players that are all-star quality. They've both been all-stars in the past, actually. So I don't think that this is really that terrible of a trade for them, but I feel like they're probably going to want more as far as draft capital is concerned. Moving on to the New York Knicks, we have Mikal Bridges here, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson going to the Bucks, as well as a first-round pick from the Wizards for next year that I believe has some protections on it, but it's not being shown right here. I think it's 1 to 8 protected, as well as a 2026 pick swap and a 2030 pick swap. Now, I don't think that this is going to be something that the Bucks would be interested in, because they probably want some young players, unless they're thinking, they want to continue to be competitive because they don't actually own their own first round picks going forward. But even so, I think that they can do better than Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson in that case. So we have a second Knicks trade here, which is Karl Anthony Towns, as well as Tyler Kolek, just to make the money work, and that same Wizards pick and one more pick swap. Again, the draft capital could switch a little bit, but the Knicks really don't have that much to offer now after they did the Mikal Bridges trade. Karl Anthony Towns is a great player, but I just don't think this is what the Bucks will be looking for. So it's really unlikely that he's going to end up going to the Knicks. Next up, we got the Miami Heat. And there are some different permeations of this trade that could happen if they threw a Bam Adebayo in there, but I just don't see the Heat doing that, because they would probably want Bam to play with Giannis. Same thing for Tyler Hero. So I'm going to go ahead and say we got Terry Rozier here. We got Duncan Robinson, who has like a weird player option, team option combo type of thing. But I think that he would definitely opt into it. And in this scenario, the team would also opt into it. And then we got Nikola Jovic, Khalil Ware, and Jaime Jaquez, as well as 2 first-rounders in 2029 and 2031. I think that this is not the worst package that you could get, because even though you're getting Terry Rozier, who's been kind of crap the last year or so, he is going to be on an expiring contract, as well as Duncan Robinson. So that's close to $50 million that's going to be coming off the books after that season. And then you get 3 solid young players, as well as a couple of draft picks. And also in this one, AJ Green goes back to the Heat, who's a nice little shooter. And Chris Livingston is just there to make the salaries match. But overall, this is like an okay trade. Obviously, it'd be better if they threw Bam Adebayo in there. But again, I just don't think that would make it compelling to Giannis to want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Next up, we got the 76ers, which I'm kind of surprised that they actually have a worthwhile trade here, to be quite honest. But in this trade, they'd have to give up Tyrese Maxey, who was an all-star just last year, who is a very good young player. So I think he's obviously the prize here. We got Jared McCain, who was close to being Rookie of the Year if he didn't get injured, but he obviously has to make his way back from injury. And then we got a couple other salary players in Ricky Council IV and Adem Bona, who have both showing a little stuff here and there throughout the year for the 76ers. But the other part of this trade that actually makes it pretty interesting outside of Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, I couldn't put Quentin Grimes in here because he's a free agent. But I'm not sure how that works as far as like sign and trade also. But if he could also get in here, then, this really, really gets pretty interesting. But as I was saying, they have the 2028 first round pick from the Clippers here, as well as the 2029 swap rights from the Clippers here. And we don't know what the heck the Clippers are going to look like in 2028 and 2029. So honestly, this is a trade that actually might entice the Bucks. But I think that they can do a little bit better, and we'll see as we keep going on. Next up, we got the Pacers. There's a lot of reasons why I don't think that the Bucks would make this trade with the Pacers or the next one that I have here. For one, but let me just talk about the trade. We got Pascal Siakam here, who's a bona fide all-star. We got Aaron Nesmith, very good young player, role player. And then we got 2027 pick swap, 2028 first-round pick, 2030 first-round pick. Now, depending on... It's hard to really project into the future, but when you're getting these picks that are later, like 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you never really know how valuable they can be. With a player like Giannis Antetokounmpo on the team, obviously there's less of a chance that they're going to be a high draft pick. But again, if things go south, you never know what position the team's going to be in the near future. Just look at the Milwaukee Bucks themselves after the Dame trade. It didn't go as planned. But that being said, we also got this one right here where if they wanted to swap out one of those picks for an actual young player, we could throw in Benedict Mathurin here. Pat Connaughton would be going back to the Pacers. But the problem here is that Pat Connaughton has to pick up his player option for this to be done also. And so if he doesn't pick up his player option, then this trade can happen. Again, the biggest problem here isn't anything that's on the screen right now. The biggest problem is the fact that Giannis was literally getting into it with Tyrese Halliburton's father. And the Bucks got knocked out of the first round by the Pacers the last 2 years. So I just don't see this happening at all. Next up, we got the Brooklyn Nets. And the Brooklyn Nets are a special case here because they're one of the teams that could actually take back a big salary like Kyle Kuzma in a trade because they have a big traded player exception. What I initially thought was that they could just take Giannis back and not have to send salary back, but it turns out that that's actually not the case. There's certain cap rules where we have to send back a certain amount of money. So in this case, they're sending back Nick Claxton, Cam Johnson, and Maxwell Lewis, again, just to make the money match. But the real prize here is the fact that the Nets have a treasure trove of draft picks that they can include here, including one draft pick from the Milwaukee Bucks themselves, but it's from this year, and the Bucks were a playoff team, so it's not going to be super valuable to them. But they do have 4 first-round picks in this draft this year. If the Bucks do want to hit that reset button, kind of, and just get a whole bunch of draft picks in this year, they can get the Knicks draft pick from this year, they could get the Rockets draft pick from this year, their own draft pick from this year, and the Nets draft pick, which I don't have pictured here, but those are all options to them, as well as these later picks for the Knicks in 2027 and 2029 from the Mikal Bridges trade. So again, we don't really know what the Knicks are going to look like in a few years, especially when that second apron stuff really starts hitting them. So there's a good chance that these picks could be kind of good. So it really depends on what it is that the Bucks are really, really looking for. They'd get off the Kyle Kuzma contract. They could honestly flip Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson for more assets, similar to what the Trailblazers did with the Drew Holiday. And they get back a good amount of picks to replenish their own assets. So it really depends on what the Bucks are looking for. But this is not a bad trade, in my opinion. Next up, we got the Warriors. So the Warriors have 2 ways to get Giannis. One of them would be to straight up trade Jimmy Butler and then add some picks in, which they really don't have picks to trade like that. So they'd have to actually do a pick swap for 2026 and 2031 or, some combination. The only tradable pick they have right now is actually 2027. So a first round pick, that is. So I just don't really see why the Bucks would want this. I guess they could trade Jimmy Butler again, but it's like, how much are you really going to get for Jimmy Butler at that point? The other option that they have is to trade Draymond Green, as well as a few of their young players / role players that they have on the team in Moses Moody, Buddy Hield, Brandon Pajemski, and Trace Jackson Davis. Now, looking at these 2 trades, I just don't think that, this is going to be compelling enough to the Bucks based on some of the other trades that I have here. So next up, we got the Los Angeles Lakers. And the literal only reason why they're on here at all is because, the Lakers fans going to go ham. They're all going to be in the comments, no matter what, of every single post that has to do with any superstar going anywhere. So I'm really putting this up here to show that, they don't have a package that can compete. You know what I'm saying? Everyone out there isn't Nico Harrison. So in this instance, they'd be giving up Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, Dalton Connect. And again, they don't really have picks to send out like that. They have one tradable first-round pick in 2031, and then they could do 2 pick swaps. But this would really depend on if the Bucks really just think that the Lakers are going to be really ass in the next 5 years. But it's hard for me to really feel that way if they got Giannis and Luka playing on the same team together. So, yeah, this one is going in the garbage, okay? Next up, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I know it says failed up here. The only reason why it says failed at the top right there is because Alex Caruso can't actually be traded until June 22nd. In this trade, they would be getting Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso, which, again, similar to what I said with the Nets, they could flip those for more assets, as well as Jalen Williams and Nikola Topic, which are one very good young player and one unproven young player, but a player with potential that was a high draft pick last year. As we all know, the Thunder have a crazy treasure trove of draft picks themselves. So in this trade, they would be giving up the Utah Jazz pick, which I think might have protections on it, but it's not being shown here. But this is for the Jazz for next year. I want to say this might be 1-8 protected, but I can't remember off top. But besides that one, they would also have the rights to swap picks with the Clippers in 2027, which the Clippers, again, is another team where you really have no idea what they're going to look like 2 years from now. And then also they have the 2029 first-round pick of the Denver Nuggets. And when you're looking 5 years down the road, you really can't say for sure what a team is going to look like, especially if Jokic isn't on the team by then. This could be a really good draft pick. When it comes to the Thunder, they have a lot of options on different combinations of things that they could do. They could take Jalen Williams out of here and put Chet Holmgren in and do some other stuff. But I think that this is the trade that they would want to do where they wouldn't have to. I saw Nick Wright post about them trading Shea for Giannis. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm sorry. I had to laugh at that because I'm like, why would they trade Shea? That being said, this is a good trade for the Bucks. They get a proven young player. They get more role players that are on decent contracts that they can flip for other assets, as well as another young player with some potential and some pretty good draft picks. So the Thunder have options to switch it up based on what the Bucks would actually want, but I think that they have one of the more compelling trade options here. Next up, we got the Houston Rockets. And in this one, they'd be giving up Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Cam Whitmore, as well as 2 picks from the Phoenix Suns in 2025, which is this year's pick, as well as 2027. And 2029, they would either be giving up a pick, the swap rights to a pick for Dallas or Phoenix. I think this is pretty decent, but much like the Thunder, the Rockets have the option to swap in different players and whatnot, as you're about to see. So in this version of it, they're giving up Fred VanVleet instead, Jabari Smith Jr., Cam Whitmore again, the same picks that I mentioned before, and I just threw another second rounder in there just for shits and giggles. There's also an option for them to trade Şengün, and people will say, what about the fit between Giannis and Şengün? But in my mind, I don't think that they should trade him. He's literally an all-star right now, and he's been the one player that's actually been playing good throughout the playoffs. So I feel like you got to at least have him and Giannis play together for part of next season. And then if you want to flip him again at the trade deadline or something like that, then, you make that decision then. But for now, I think that they can't give up Şengün. This is one of the better ones as well. And it also came out today that Giannis, apparently, these are all reports and rumors and yada, 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 that apparently Giannis would prefer a team where they have no state income tax, which would include all of the Texas teams, which is the Mavericks, the Spurs, and the Rockets, as well as the Florida teams like Orlando and Miami. But when it comes to Orlando, I just don't think that they, the things that they would have to give up, I don't think they want to give up for Giannis. And then when it comes to the Heat, I don't know if they have quite enough to send out. So it really just depends. Also, the Suns are one of those teams, but yeah, nothing needs to be said there. Moving on to the Spurs, we got Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Jeremy Sohan, as well as their own first from 2025, the Atlanta Hawks first from 2025, and the Atlanta Hawks first from 2027 here. So they obviously have more picks that they could add in here to sweeten the deal, depending on what it is that the Bucks would want again. But I think this is a pretty good deal. You get a very good young player in Devin Vassell. You get another good young player in Jeremy Sohan. And Keldon Johnson, he's mainly there for the contract stuff, but he's a pretty good player as well. And then you get some good draft picks here. That one from this year in 2025 is going to be a very high draft pick. They're definitely going to get a really good young player at that spot. With the Hawks, you're going to get a second lottery pick there. And in 2027, you get another pick from them. I have a couple different trades for the Spurs here. In this version, you swap out, what are we swapping out? We swap out Jeremy Sohan to sweeten it up a little bit more with Stephon Castle. And I think that this is a really, really compelling trade because you're getting the Rookie of the Year from this year. And everything else is still the same here. And then the last trade, if they want to see if they can get away without having to put Devin Vassell in here, they can throw in Harrison Barnes and then him, Keldon Johnson, Stephon Castle. I don't think Malachi Branham and Blake Wesley have to be in here, but might as well throw them in there. A couple extra young players, maybe they turn into something, maybe not. You know what I'm saying? Or they could just be depth pieces on the Bucks. And everything else is still the same here, as I said. But as far as the draft picks are concerned, they have more that they could throw in there or swap out, depending on what it is the Bucks would want. Last but not least, we got the Dallas Mavericks here. They won the NBA lottery today. Where you see 2025 round one pick, that's really just put Cooper Flag's face right there. All right. So they could potentially put this package together with Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Max Christie, Jaden Hardy, and Cooper Flag, and another first round pick swap together for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, do I think that they should trade the number one pick this year? I don't think that, actually. They might do some little separate other trades with Daniel Gafford or whatever else they got going on, but I really don't think that they should trade Cooper Flag for Giannis. For one, you have to get rid of a lot of your depth just to match the money. You know, you could actually build a good team with most of these pieces along with a Cooper Flag and an Anthony Davis. Although Kyrie is going to be out next year, I think that that'll still be a good year for Cooper, Flag, and AD to build good chemistry together. And then Kyrie can come back the next year or later into the year. And they're going to have a really good team like that will fit together, especially if they make a few other little moves throughout the rest of the offseason. Please let me know which one of these trades you think that the Bucks would find the most enticing. Or if you have your own trade ideas, throw them down in the comment section down below. Give the video a like, please, and subscribe, and have a beautiful day. Thank you.